everyone, I wanted to show you a simple key hook that I made recently, and all I did was I cut out a piece of card that was roughly 6 centimeters by 16. It came out slightly smaller than that because I cut it weird, but never mind. And I cut out a piece of, it's like a hardboard stuff, so it's like a really densely compressed cardboard. I used that first of all, and then to make it a bit thicker underneath, I've got a piece of box card, like corrugated card. That's just to thicken it later on for when I put the dowels in place, because the board is, even though it's quite rigid, it's still thin. Then I drew two bat wing shapes on a piece of card. Well, I drew one first and then cut it out, and then I used that to create the second one, so I needed two of those. And this is following a similar sort of design to that Cthulhu bottle that I did, and I really like that that sort of logo, that symbol, so I decided to recreate it for this key hook. So I cut out the second one just by holding the other one on, and this is just Zero box card for this bit. I don't need anything to be, don't need it to be mega strong on this bit, and even the bit that holds the keys, it doesn't have to be super strong. I made the things that the keychains go on out of dowel, just for strength, but the weight of the keys is not much. And then here I'm working out exactly where everything's going to go while I wait for my glue gun to warm up. And then it's just a case of using plenty of hot glue to stick the back onto the base. Again, that's just for depth for when I put the dowels in later on. And then the way I stuck the wings on was just, I stuck one corner on and then another corner. And the reason for that is I wanted to be able to bend it up so it was a bit more 3D. I didn't want it to just be like flat against the key holder. And I did the same for the other wing. And obviously this is all like the base structure. Details get added on later on. And I just made sure that they were stuck at the back as well so that the wings wouldn't fall off or anything. And then I've got a little resin skull that I cast, and I stuck that into position as well. And then the next thing I did was I went around all the edges of the wings with hot glue, and used the hot glue as well to make the sort of ridges in the wings as well. And it's just a case of going slowly, holding plenty of tension in the glue gun trigger just to make sure a steady stream of glue comes out. But you don't want loads of glue because you don't want this to be like, you know, big fat blobs of glue. You want like a nice thin line of glue that you can go all around the wings with. And I went all the way around the wings and also used the hot glue to add the sort of spines in the wings as well. And you'll see later on I used it to draw the tentacle shapes on the sort of base plate of the key holder as well. And then I took 3 pieces of dowel, because I don't actually hang, where I hang the keys, I don't hang many keys up. So I only needed 3 hooks. So I cut out 3 pieces of dowel. They were roughly about 2-3 centimetres long. And then it was a case of poking a hole first of all in the cardboard, roughly where I want them to go. I just had to measure and make sure I'd evenly space them out. And obviously I wanted one either side and one in the middle. And then I poked through with this. This is like a clay tool. I call it my pokey thing. And I used that kind of like as you'd use an awl in leather, just to poke a hole through. Then I needed to make the holes bigger because obviously the dowels are ever so slightly thicker. And the way I did that was I took my craft knife and I cut little slits in the edges of the holes, and then used a paintbrush to make the holes wider. And you'll see later on, in order to make the holes big enough for the dowel, what I ended up doing was pushing the paintbrush through further, so that made the hole wide enough for the dowels to fit. And I also did that wiggling motion, which also made the holes a little bit bigger. But by cutting those little slits in with the craft knife, that enables me to be able to just push and smush that cardboard through the back. I did start trimming off the excess with my big scissors, but in the end I cut off the excess bits with my craft knife, which was a little bit of a pain, but it was just so it would lay flat against the wall. I didn't want any massive bumps on the back. Then I painted the whole thing black once I drew the tentacle shapes on, and then used some of the silver metallic luster wax to go over the raised edges, and then put a black wash over the top of that just to dull that down a bit, because I didn't want it to look like it was like a bright shiny silver. I wanted it to look like a dull silver on all the details. And then once that was all dry, I then attached it to my wall, and that was it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.